guys, DMV SoloRider back with another video. We are on Interstate 81, about to cross over from Tennessee into Virginia. We're about 370 miles from the DMV. Took a little jaunt down to Tennessee, had some unexpected time off, and I haven't ridden much lately, so I wanted to get the bike out on the road. And the ride down here was so great. You know, Interstate 81 is 1,000 times nicer than I-95. There's still a lot of color in the trees. Hopefully you see that. And so I wanted to do some filming, mostly because I wanted to test out my camera. As I've mentioned in the past, I plan to switch to doing 4K video as soon as I had a chance to get a good laptop that would allow me to edit it. And that laptop is coming in the mail tomorrow. Woohoo! So I figured, you know, it was such a great ride down. On the ride back, I'd film and put it in 4K and use this video for kind of a test of my setup. I actually have my media mod on the GoPro. I've had this since I started. I rarely use it because I switched to a separate audio recorder. But given that most of my videos lately are just one camera, I figured I'd give the media mod a shot. Might be a little less bulky to have my recorder and my phone in my jacket pocket at the same time. And so, you know, we'll see how it goes in the editing process, see how the sound quality is, see if I don't have any technical snafus that ruin the entire video or the audio or both. And I also figured while I'm going to film, I might as well kind of give you my preliminary thoughts on my Hotwired heated gear and my OEM Closeouts. As I mentioned before, you know, I use Instagram. And Instagram, you know, whatever I post there is usually well in advance of what you see on my YouTube channel. You know, if I'm out filming a ride, out taking pictures of that ride, that area, whatever, it's usually on Instagram, you know, a couple months before you ever see it in a video. And of course, over the last couple weeks, suddenly I have a community tab on the channel page on YouTube. So I am doing my best to make sure that anything I post on Instagram, I post on the channel page as well, the community tab. So you have seen on both that I got the Hotwired heated gear, I got the closeouts. I also ordered a Jin's Chopper Sissy Bar, which, you know, they've got to make it. It's not going to be here for quite some time. And I said I would kind of do a review of all the stuff as I start using it and experience it. And so obviously I'm not doing some, you know, final product review for the Hotwired gear. I used it on the way down here. I left the DMV on Tuesday. It's what's it, mid-November right now. On a Tuesday, it was about 45 degrees in the DC area when I left, so not nearly as cold as some of the temps I've ridden in. And by, I'd say, midday, the temps were in the mid-60s. It's been a beautiful week. And I wasn't even using the heated gear in the afternoon, didn't have the winter gloves on. Right now, Ride Command's telling me it's about 60 degrees here as we make our way into Virginia. It feels like it's in the mid to high 50s. Bike was sitting in the sun while I got all my camera gear set up. Probably warmed up artificially a bit. But anyways, let's get to the heart of the matter for today's video, which is my preliminary take on the Hotwired heated gear. So if you recall, if you've been subscribed to the channel for a while, or you watched some of my older videos, about a year ago this time I took a trip down the Blue Ridge Parkway, making my way down to Tail of the Dragon and all the great roads down there. And my first day of that trip, it was, you know, the end of November. It was pretty cold. You know, I think low 30s is how I started the trip. And I think the first day of that trip, it maybe got up to 55 at the highest point. So some pretty cold, uncomfortable temperatures. All I had were thermals. And then last January, I rode from the DC area all the way down to Key West. And the first day of that trip and the last day of that trip were really freaking uncomfortable. I think I left the DC area, it was like, you know, maybe 25 degrees. And all I had were thermals, and I had, you know, the thermals that have special materials built into the fronts that are supposed to cut down on wind penetration. But man, 25 degrees on a motorcycle, you're just frozen and shivering, and my heated grips, as great as they are, weren't enough to really do much. And on the way back, you know, it was a little bit better, but still pretty uncomfortable on the last day of the trip getting back into the DC area. And I committed to getting heated gear right then and there, and I finally did it. I decided to go with Hotwired, which, as far as I can tell, looks like it's the same exact thing as the First Gear heated equipment, heated garments. I didn't want to go with some of the other products because honestly I really like the simplicity of the Hotwired setup. So I ordered originally everything in a medium insoles for my boots, medium pants, medium jacket liner, and medium gloves. And when they started shipping stuff out, they kind of shipped one item, then a few items, and then the rest of the items. And the first thing I got were the pants. The medium pants were huge on me. Again, I'm 5'6", 28-inch inseam. Waist is probably, you know, anywhere from 35 to 36 inches, you know, not a huge waist. And the mediums were ginormous in the legs, way too much material there, and really loose in the waist. So I immediately realized, okay, this Hotwired stuff runs a little big. And, you know, I had ordered it all to be shipped to my place, and I just said, forget that. I went and bought smalls at my local Cycle Gear, so I got small pants, small jacket liner. They did not have any small gloves, and in fact, I can't, the small gloves seem to be out of stock nationwide as far as I can tell. So I ended up buying small glove liners. And as an aside, the heated insoles that I got, the mediums, fit in my boots just fine. I have a size 8 foot. I think these boots are size 8. They could be size 9. I will put a note up on the screen with the correct size. But the medium insoles fit like a glove, fit perfectly. Apparently you can trim the insoles if they're a little large for your shoes. Didn't have to worry about any of that. But anyways, the small pants fit well, a little snug in the waist, much less loose material on the legs, and same with the small jacket liner. And that's important because, you know, in the research I did into heated gear, including Hotwired, the point is you don't want really bulky, baggy, loose heated gear because you want the gear to be resting against your skin, because there are wires inside the gear. That's what heats up. And if you have puckering in the jacket or in the pants and the wires are not touching the skin, you're not going to get the benefit of the heat from that wire transferring to your skin. So the other day I started my trip again. It was about 45 degrees, not that cold. But, you know, I wanted to try out the heated gear. And, you know, I started riding. I didn't have the glove liners on. I did not have the insoles on. I haven't yet to try the insoles. We'll get to that in a minute when we talk about the closeouts. But the pants and the jacket worked well. The reason I wanted to go with the Hotwired gear is everything attaches to itself. You know, the glove liners attached to the jacket, the insoles attached to the pants. You get a Y splitter and an extension cord, and you connect the pants and the jacket together through the splitter, and then connect the splitter to your battery tender, which I have down here, and the extension cord makes sure that it can all reach. And it's easier than having different controllers with extra cords and little boxes and switches. I don't want to deal with any of that. I can't show you while I'm riding, and we'll get to that in a second, but I have, for the pants, a long tab with a controller. It's 3 settings. You know, you turn the gear on and it's on the hottest setting. Press it once, it goes to the medium setting. Press it again, it goes to the lowest setting. Press it a 4th time and it'll go back to the hottest setting. Give it a long press and it shuts off or turns on. Very simple. And, you know, that's kind of what I wanted. And so the pants have a long tab with a controller at the end that you kind of loop over your waistline. And the bottom of the jacket has another controller for the jacket. Very simple, very easy. And so I hit the road, 45 degrees, and it was going good. You know, this stuff definitely gets warm on the hottest setting for sure, and depending on whether you're talking about the jacket or the pants, the medium setting can get pretty warm too. And as I was, heading my way south down 81, it started to get a little colder the farther out of the city I got. And I want to say, I don't remember where I was exactly. I was not to Roanoke yet, but I hit a stretch of road in some hills where the temperatures got down to about 35, and I could feel it with the gear at the lower settings. So I pulled over, I put the heated glove liners on. And one thing to know about the heated glove liners, just real quick, the liners heat in between your fingers. It doesn't heat on the tops of your gloves or the bottoms. It's in between your fingers. The idea being when you're riding, you keep your fingers together and the heat will emanate out from in between them and warm the tops and bottoms of your hands. And of course I have heated grips, so I don't really worry about the bottoms of my hands, because these Indian heated grips will cook your hands at more than 7 or 8 out of 10 on the settings. But anyways, so I stopped and I put the glove liners on and I hit the road again. I had the pants on medium. I find that with my closeouts, the closeouts trap a lot of heat down by my feet and against my legs, and I just don't need nearly as much heat down below as I do up top. And that's, I mentioned that I haven't used the insoles yet. Since I started using the closeouts, my feet are nice and toasty. In the coldest weather I've ridden in since I got all this stuff, I mean, when I was on 81 heading south and the temperatures got down to about 35, I mean, for a little while I could feel a little coolness on my toes. But when I say coolness, it's like if you're in your heated house and your feet are a little cold. It's that level of coolness and discomfort. It's almost nothing. Not compared to my trip to Florida where my tootsies were little popsicles. So, I haven't even tried the insoles because I found I just haven't needed them yet. I will make an effort to ride in some colder temperatures to really give them a try and see how they work. But back to the gear in general. So I'm at 35 degrees. I've got the pants on medium. I got the jacket on high. And it's solid. It gets really hot on high, both sets. I find that the pants, I can't keep them on high because on high it's too hot. It almost feels like it's going to burn the skin on my legs. And now keep in mind, like I said, you want to keep this material flat, as smooth against your skin to the greatest extent possible. That gives you the biggest transfer of heat from the wiring inside the garments to your skin. If anywhere on you the wire puckers out or isn't on your skin, you're not going to feel it. And so on my pants, in my seating position, it's much easier for the garment to lay flat against my leg and you get maximum heat. So I have not needed the high temperature setting on my legs. On my arms and my chest, I keep it on high because what's happening is even with the small liner, I find I have a lot of puckering inside my jacket. So usually parts of my chest, the material is not flat against me, it's puckering, no different than my leather jacket. In parts of my arms, I find that the material might pucker like the insides of my elbows. And so what I find myself doing is I kind of, I move around a lot to make sure cold spots get some heat. I'll, ride and kind of press my jacket against me to get that material against my skin. And all I'm wearing is just a t-shirt and a liner. I figured I wanted to see how this was in a basic way, and we can modify from there. And so, overall the heating works well. I'm very pleased with it. I'm a little disappointed that even in a small, I'm getting a lot of movement of the material against my skin, and I'm losing some of the benefit with like cold spots because the liner's not touching my skin. What I am going to do, and by the way, the material that this heated gear is made out of serves as a nice like windbreaker under my leather jacket, because my jacket is leather and mesh. Normally in the winter I ride with a thermal layer and a waterproof layer that doubles as wind protection. And, you know, for the most part, this liner works in that same fashion. So I don't really need additional wind protection, even though, you know, the majority of my black jacket is mesh. And I feel fine. Even at that 35 degrees, it was not unbearable. It wasn't miserable. You know, all the gear was doing its job. And I didn't feel wind penetrating my layers to my skin. Having said that, the next time I go out, I'm probably going to put my windproof layer on under the jacket and on top of the heated gear to see if it can kind of provide some additional packing and keep the material closer to my skin all over the place. You know, the one thing is, I hate to ride like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, where you got so many layers on that you can barely move. You know, these winter gloves are bad enough, just the gloves by themselves. And having liners inside makes it even worse. But about the glove liners, because I haven't discussed those yet, when it comes to the insoles and the glove liners, once you plug them in, they're just on. You can't adjust the temperature for those two pieces of the gear. And, you know, like I said, the glove liners only heat up the insides of your fingers. And assuming you're keeping your hands closed around your grips, it does a real nice job. I find that you do get the benefit of heat on the tops and bottoms of your hands. The exception being your thumb. When you're on your grips like that, it's not as noticeable, and the outside of your thumb tends to get pretty chilly. The inside of your thumb, I guess, for me, the way I'm resting my hand on my grip, it wasn't really getting any. Well, it got some benefit of from the heat on the inside of my my index finger and my thumb, but not a ton. The other thing that I experienced with the gloves is they burned my skin. Between these two fingers, my middle finger and my index finger, right in here, I have a blister on each side. And as I was using the heated gloves, they were getting hotter and hotter, and I could feel it in there, you know, getting too hot. And finally, it started warming up as the day went on. This is earlier in the morning. By about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, I had taken my winter gloves off. I took the liners off. So I am going to have to talk with Cycle Gear, where I got this stuff, about my experience with those liners. Obviously, none of this stuff should burn you. So maybe it's something defective with the pair that I got. I do still have a pair of medium gloves coming. It's the gloves instead of the liner, where the glove is heated as well. So if those fit, I might give them a try and see if it's a better experience. One other thing about these garments is, on the back side of the legs, there's no heating elements. And I think on the backs of the arms, there's not as much. There's a big area in the back, like between my shoulder blades, that has some heating. I don't think there's anything, maybe a little bit down in the small of my back. Can't say that's as warm as I would expect it to be. And so just keep in mind, you know, when you're riding, not every square inch of your body is going to be warmed up by the wires that are heated up. So, you know, give some thought to layers. This is the first time I brought all my thermals with me in case I needed them. You know, when it got colder, it wasn't bad enough to need to pull over and put that stuff on. But if I was going out in 25-degree weather, I probably would have my long johns on. I might have a long sleeve shirt underneath, just to give myself a little extra protection. But that's what I want to say about Hotwired. The other thing I wanted to talk with you about is my experience with my new closeouts. I got Indian OEM closeouts for my crash bars. Had to adjust my highway pegs down a little bit so they fit. And, you know, this is preliminary thoughts. Maybe something will happen that dramatically changes my perspective over time. But I just want to tell you right now, these closeouts are freaking awesome. I'm telling you, I get virtually no wind on my feet. I don't start to feel wind until you get a little further up my calf. And so on that front, it's excellent. And these closeouts, as I kind of mentioned talking about the insoles, they seem to catch the heat from the engine and keep it right around my feet. And from 35 degrees and up, I have not felt a need for those heated insoles at all, because my feet are nice and toasty. Curious to see how the closeouts do in colder weather, you know, low to mid 20s. We're gonna find out. Oh, by the way, I'd certainly appreciate it. Give this video a thumbs up. I put my ride and ride-related content out every Tuesday now. That's right, we switched the day to Tuesday. Hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell. You'll get an alert every Tuesday when my new content is out, and I'd certainly appreciate it. Helps more people find the content on my channel.